Hi guys, I hope you're all well. In today's video I wanna discuss quality of life in New Zealand.
Hi everyone, just to let you know that this video is better just to listen, not to watch, because it's very informational and it's not very entertaining. So I would highly recommend if you listen it as it was a podcast, not as a video. And maybe in the future I will do a podcast because I feel it's more something what I would like to do. Let me know if you think so. And hope you like it anyway. It's not much fun, but a lot of information.
We're going to be comparing New Zealand to countries around the world in relation to quality of life. So I'm going to be talking about two rankings, OECD ranking and US News. And we're going to jump to the next ranking, which is, I found pretty interesting. It's a US News global ranking where I also took 78 countries around the world, and we compare them in different categories, and it's very comprehensive. It's very interesting to look at, and I also will display the images for each category in the screen so you can see and compare it with me. So let's jump to US News rankings. US News country rankings was made in 2022. And here New Zealand ranks 11 out of 78 countries considered. If New Zealand is 11, what are other countries who beats New Zealand? First one is Switzerland. Here you see the difference, Switzerland and Norway in the previous one. Second one is Germany. Third one is Canada. Fourth one, of course, US, because it's US News ranking. Fifth one is Sweden. Sixth one is Japan, and 7 Australia, 8 United Kingdom, 9 France, and 10 Denmark. So pretty interesting, and it's different. They consider different things which might be more important for you or for some individuals who consider moving to these countries. I think it's more comprehensive and giving you more insights. So let's look at the main overall rankings, how they see each category here. Overall, there are 10 categories which they rank here, and the New Zealand score in general is 89.2 out of 100. I think it's pretty good. They rank things like adventure, agility, culture influence, entrepreneurship, heritage, movers, open for business, power, quality of life in general, and social purpose. So for adventure, New Zealand ranks 6th. For agility, New Zealand ranks 8th. For culture influence, New Zealand is 20. For entrepreneurship, New Zealand is 20. For heritage, New Zealand is 25. For movers, New Zealand is 17. For open for business, New Zealand is 9. For power, New Zealand is 35. For quality of life, New Zealand is 10. And for social purpose, New Zealand is 7. Pretty good. Some better than others, but let's jump to each of this category, and each of this category has another 10 points which goes deeper into this category. Overall quality of life is 10th. For quality of life, they consider attributes like a good job market, and it's 77. So New Zealand has pretty good job market. Then how affordable it is. New Zealand has score of 6.5. This is very, very clear that it's not affordable. Then next category is economically stable. New Zealand has score 78.1. Then family friendly, it's 93.5, which is very good. Then income equality, New Zealand ranks 70. Political stable, 81.9. Safe, 96.1. You see how different the safety here and safety in OECD ranking. So I don't know what they look into. Well-developed public education system, 71.8. And well-developed public health system, 63.6. I think it's pretty accurate, the overall quality of life, where New Zealand is 10th out of all countries. It's very fair. I think I will even give the same scores because they are pretty accurate, as you can see in the screen. It's pretty fair. So, best in quality of life actually as following: Sweden, Denmark, Canada, Switzerland, Norway, Finland, Germany, and Netherlands. So almost all of these countries who rank the best in the quality of life, according to US News, are European countries, except for Canada. So it's, I think, very good analysis, because quality of life, it's according to these categories, is really high in European countries which we mentioned. It's very stable and politically correct, and income is distributed well. This is true. So let's jump to the next point, which is adventure. And adventure is New Zealand one of the strongest parts. For adventure we have score 6, and pretty good. So its attributes of adventure are friendly, 100% friendly, fun, 71% and a half, good for tourism, 93% and 6, which is, it's great for tourism, as you know. Pleasant climate, 96% and 4. New Zealand climate rocks. Scenic, 100%. Thumbs up. And sexy, 6.3%. I mean, we probably consider nightlife, then it's true. So the best in adventure is Brazil. I have been to Brazil. Brazil is, it's adventurous. I can agree with that. Italy, Spain, Greece, Thailand. Next category is agility. For agility, New Zealand ranks 8. And attributes is adaptable, where New Zealand has 88.3 score. For dynamic, it's pretty good scored, so it's 45%. And New Zealand isn't very dynamic. It's actually, I think, pretty slow country. It has its own pace, and it has its own kind of vibe, and it doesn't really look at the other world. So it's a good and a bad thing, you know. Then how modern it is, it's 82%. How progressive it is, it's 74%, and responsive, 66%. Okay, the best in agility are, you guess, of course, US and Germany, Canada, Japan, and Australia. Pretty accurate. Cultural influence, here New Zealand ranks 20th. For cultural influence, we have attributes like culture is significant in terms of entertainment, 26%. I mean, yeah, we don't have much of cultural entertainment, that's for sure. Fashionable, 29%. Happy, 93%. Has an influential culture, 8.7%. Yeah, it doesn't have much enough influence. Guess has a strong consumer brands, a 9.5%. Yeah, that's also true. How modern it is, 82%. How prestigious it is, 44%. Yeah, New Zealand is easygoing, simple, because it's not prestigious. And how trendy it is, 36%. It's also very accurate. Best in cultural influence, you guess it, Italy, France, US, Japan, and Spain. Next category is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship in New Zealand isn't well developed, probably. It's a 20 best one. Middle way, so somewhat. Attributes for entrepreneurship, it's how connected New Zealand is to the rest of the world. 66%, and true. I mean, it's connected, but not to the extent as US, for example. Educated population, 79% of New Zealanders are well educated. Entrepreneurial, 48%. Not very entrepreneurial, but not very employment focused, half-half. Innovative, 34%. Yeah, I mean, it's not Japan. I think New Zealand is definitely less innovative as many other countries. Provides easy access to capital in terms of funding, financing for startups, probably. It's 25%. Skilled labor force is 47%. Technological expertise, 16%. Transparent business practices, 74%. Well-developed digital infrastructure, 48%. Well-developed infrastructure, 61%. And well-developed legal framework, almost 70%. I think here in entrepreneurship, New Zealand has some work to do, still a way to go. We score overall only 53% out of every 100 for entrepreneurship. The best countries for entrepreneurship, surprisingly, Germany. I think Germany is growing fast. It's becoming more agile. Then US, Japan, UK, and of course China. China, yeah, it's the way to go. The heritage, The heritage here, New Zealand, scores 25. It's only 44% out of 100. And it's understandable, it's a very new country. Absolutely. Attributes here, culturally accessible, 63%, has a rich history, 10%, has great food, 17%. I mean, most of the foods here are from Britain or from Maori. But British food is more common, so it's actually British influence. So it doesn't have much of their own food, like as dishes, maybe like snacks, but not like proper dishes. Not that many, at least. Many cultural attractions, 47%, and many geographical attractions, 48%. Here, yeah, we score better, of course, because the geography, it's our strongest part. Best in heritage, you guess it, Italy, Greece, Spain, France. So the next category, how open it is for business. It's 9th, very open. Let's check attributes. Cheap manufacturing cost, 0.4%. Manufacturing in New Zealand isn't cheap at all. It's probably one of the highest costs on the world if it's such a low score. Favorable tax environment, 21%, 22%. Okay. Taxes are not that great, but overall they are not high. I'm not sure why it's so bad. Not bureaucratic. It's not bureaucratic at all, 96%. New Zealand is not bureaucratic country, thumbs up. Not corrupt, 99.9%. That's impressive. Transparent government practices, 72.3%. Really good. It's really open for business, but it's very expensive to do the business here because the manufacturing costs are so high and the market is very small. So it's a good and a bad thing. Best and open for business is Switzerland, Panama, Finland, Norway, and Luxembourg. Yeah, not sure what Finland and Norway forgot there. Because power, 35. How powerful the country is. How powerful New Zealand is. Attributes like a leader, 6.9%. So New Zealand isn't a very strong leader, I guess. Economical influential, 19%. It's a small country, of course. Has strong export, 16%. Politically influential, 3%. We are not political, it's okay. Strong international alliance, 27%. And strong military, 0.2%. Gonna go cry. There are no military to protect us. But yeah. So for power, we have percentage overall, it's 11% out of 100. Yeah, we need to gain a bit more power, but it's a small country. I mean, it's logical. The best in power, US, China, Russia, Germany, and the United Kingdom. Next is social purpose. We score 7. So for power, we are like least, but for social purpose, we are the best. So stay strong together and then we will protect the country. Care about animal rights, 97%. Cares about human rights, 92%. Cares about environment, 97%. Committed to climate goals, 91%. Committed to social justice, 70%. Gender equality, 82%. Racial equity, 70%. Religious freedom, 66%. Respect property rights, 85%. Trustworthy, 91%. Well-distributed political power, 55%. So maybe in political power we need to distribute it more properly, but overall very good, 88% of social purpose. Best in social purpose is Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Finland, Canada, and the Netherlands. OECD, it's a large organization, you probably have heard of them. They have about 38 countries, so it's an organization who works on development of the countries economy, of overall standard of life and quality of life. And it includes New Zealand, countries like Australia, all European countries, European Union, but also countries like Turkey, so it's pretty interesting. So let's jump right into this, to the main outcomes of OECD rankings and how they interpret, how we'll see the life in New Zealand actually. But before I jump to OECD rankings, just in general sense, according to many different perspectives, New Zealand ranked as the 10th best country to live in the world. So some of the main points where New Zealand scores high, it's of course nature, the quality of nature and availability and just diversity of nature, also sustainability, healthcare, political stability, also cultural diversity, tolerance of other races and cultures, and pollution. Which is one of the lowest of the world, so the absence of the pollution. In a general OECD ranking, when New Zealand was compared to different countries, they asked over 100,000 people living in these 38 countries which are included in the OECD organization. So there were plenty of people who voted. So according to the survey on the best countries, New Zealand ranks 12, 11 is Luxembourg, USA is 10th, Sweden is 9, New Zealand is 8, Finland is 7, Switzerland is 6, Denmark is 5th, Canada is 4th, Iceland is 3rd, Australia is the 2nd one, and Norway is the 1st one. So in general, Norway wins in the quality of life ranking. So let's jump to New Zealand and look at the different factors which influence quality of life and how OECD actually interpret life in New Zealand. So in housing, New Zealand ranks 6.8. Overall, the expenditure is very bad. So in every category, there are many things which are go into this. For example, overall is 6.8, but for expenditure per capita, New Zealand second before last, so it's very bad, and probably you know it. The best country for housing is US. Second category is income. New Zealand here ranks 6 out of 10, and the best for income is Luxembourg. But New Zealand is not that bad for disposable income. So disposable income, it's how much you have after all your expenditure. In this category, New Zealand ranks 5th. For jobs, it's like job opportunities and unemployment rate, New Zealand ranks 8.3, which is pretty good, and Iceland and Switzerland are the best. And for personal earnings, how much a person earns, not a household, New Zealand is 70. For community, New Zealand ranks 8.5, which is very high because no one scores more than 9. So it's very good for community, and you probably know it that New Zealand people are stand together. And the best for community is actually Iceland. The second one is education. In education, New Zealand ranks 7, and the best for education is Finland and Australia. Then it comes environment. New Zealand is very good in terms of environment, and here we have 8.1. But best ones, Sweden. And New Zealand ranks 3rd best in air pollution, so there are very little air pollution. Next one is a civic engagement. Here, New Zealand ranks 7.5, and the best one is Australia. Then we have health. Health is 9.2, and Canada is actually best for health. And for life expectancy, New Zealand ranks 14th. For life satisfaction, New Zealand ranks 7.9, which is higher than many countries. For example, UK ranks only 6.4, and Finland has the best score of 10. So Finnish people are very satisfied with their life, apparently. Safety here, New Zealand is pretty good, 7.3. And average in all countries, it's 6.7. So safety is not the strongest part of New Zealand because it ranks only 31st out of all countries in the ranking, and its overall score 7.3, and the best country for safety is Norway. And the last category in the quality of life rankings from OECD is the work-life balance, and surprisingly New Zealand doesn't do so well. It's only 4.9. Apparently not good in the work-life balance, although people say that the work-life balance is actually very good here. And the best country for work-life balance is Italy and Denmark. So according to this ranking, the main downsides of living in New Zealand is the housing, cost of housing, but also high percentage of your income goes to housing. So New Zealand residents pay 26% of their entire income for the housing, which is considered very high. The average in all countries for housing is about 20%. You pay 20% of what you earn, and the best country is actually South Korea, because they spend only 14% of their income for housing. Another large point that drags quality of life in New Zealand is high cost of living, where a large proportion also of your income goes into basic expenses and you spend the majority of what you earn. So for example, in Auckland, the average cost of living for a single, it's around 4,500 New Zealand dollars, and the average salary could be the same. Of course, depending on your job, but it's very realistic when you earn the same amount that you spend. And of course, one of the significant weaknesses of New Zealand is high house prices, where they are one of the highest in all countries considered, where many people cannot afford a house, or if they can afford, of course, they take a mortgage, which then high percentage of their income will go to the mortgage. So generally, New Zealand doesn't rank well in income. Here, 19% of people work for a minimal wage, although minimal wage is high. It's about $23, I guess. And the minimal wage ranks fourth, the highest in countries considered. But 19% of people here work for a minimal wage, while, for example, in Canada it's only 8%, and in the entire United States it's only 1 million people who work for minimal wage. The average wage in New Zealand is 58,000 New Zealand dollars according to the rankings, which about 36,000 US dollars. And according to the rankings, the average disposable income in an individual in New Zealand is 39,000 US dollars after taxes. And according to the OECD ranking, the overall across all countries is 30,000 US dollars. So it's not really that bad, but you have to consider cost of living, which is high. So even if average disposable income is high in New Zealand, it's it gets spent, you spend it. So for this reason, generally for income, New Zealand ranks 20 out of 38 countries in this ranking. So to conclude OECD ranking, main weaknesses of New Zealand is high cost of living, unproportional disposable income to cost of living, high housing and high house price. These are the main points, but also according to the ranking, the safety isn't the greatest here. Although it is actually safe, maybe the safety ranges depending on the city, and cities like Auckland ranks worst than there are other cities. Not sure. And another point is the work-life balance, which I'm not quite sure. They say that big percentage of people work here overtime, which is kind of hard to imagine, but probably also in large cities like Auckland and Wellington, there might be people who work overtime. It's pretty interesting. As you can see, New Zealand has its strong things and has its weaknesses, kind of balanced here. You cannot gain all points in one country, and you can see that maybe US ranks pretty high everywhere, right? But then it has so many issues. So each country has a strongest part and has its weakness, and we have to accept it, I guess. So it's true that New Zealand lacks in things like income, cost of living, affordability, of course, power, but it all depends what you want and which lifestyle do you want, the things which you prioritize in life. For some people, priorities are different, and they move to countries like US and Canada, where downsides of New Zealand, not downsides there, benefits there, but then they find another downsides, and then they struggle as well. It can be a vicious circle, and I just wanted to give you perspective of New Zealand and how it compares internationally, so we all have a little bit more overview. Because many people complain, and I understand, and it's normal for people to complain, and you will complain in any country. It's just how we are, how people are. We love to complain, and I promise you, you will find what to complain about also in countries like Switzerland and Norway, which is the best. Because according to these rankings, and one of this was Norway the first, and then the second one was Switzerland. But I lived for 3 years in Austria, just on the border with Switzerland, and I wasn't happy with everything. It all depends on your priorities, that's for sure, and what you want in life. I hope it was somewhat interesting. Difficult to make an informational video, right? You have to try to memorize things, and you have to put a lot of, information. I always try to make videos as informational as possible, but I also enjoy just to chat. Actually, I'm thinking to do a podcast and just to chat about life in New Zealand. I'm inspired by Liz and Brian from It's a Drama podcast. I love them. It's like I'm addicted, I guess, to their podcasts, especially because I just like to hear it in the car, and it feels like you are there and you can relate. And I would like to also create something like this. Let me know if you would be interested. And if you want to be a guest, because I wanted to talk to someone to have interesting discussions. And it's very difficult to just talk to no one, especially if it's a camera. Can't imagine how it looks like. But when you have someone to talk, wherever it's a podcast or a video on a phone or in real life, it's always more interesting, and you can get a lot of this conversation, because it's very helpful for another person to have 2 people or more people to give you insights than I just try to collect all information and put it in my small brain and to put it out to the world. So not what I'm really satisfied at the moment with the production of the content on this channel. So I'm looking for new ideas. And if you have an ideas or what you would like to see about New Zealand, which kind of videos could be helpful for you, or which one you will be enjoying, or how you see it, like a podcast, just me without video, just audio, or video, short videos, long videos. I would like to hear from you. It's very nice to hear the feedback from people. It's what I'm doing, why I'm doing this, for people there who are watching and who have thoughts and who take some insights from this, because otherwise it makes no sense. And if you haven't checked Liz and Brian, but you probably know them, but highly recommend It's a Drama. They have a podcast, they have NZ Ahead podcast, so there are 2 podcasts, and they have a YouTube channel, It's a Drama. Highly recommend. If you are guys even watching it, I'm sure you're not, but if it happens, Lisa or Brian watching this, you are just super nice people. Just continue what you're doing, because you give such a great insights, and it feels relatable. We immigrants, we just need it here, who moved to so far away country, just to have someone to relate to. And this is also why I'm doing this. I will see you next time.